sound on a cruise ship that changes the energy of a room as soon as you hear it. Most passengers don't even notice it, but every crew member knows exactly what it means the second it comes through the PA. And then the show goes on. The buffet line keeps moving, the piano keeps playing, and no one in the dining hall even looks up. But behind the scenes right now, something specific is happening. And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what that is. There is a whole genre of cruise talk dedicated to this topic, and most of it falls between being partially right and completely made up.
What's the disturbing fact that you know?
All cruise ships have a morgue for any deaths on the boat. If your cruise ever announces a random ice cream party, it's probably because there's not enough room in the morgue and they had to make room in the freezer.
What a random wow.
Yeah.
It sounds like something I wouldn't put a cruise company past doing, but I think we can all rest a little bit easier when I say this is absolutely not the case. No one is having a side of corpse with their ice cream, okay? Cruise ships are legally required to have a dedicated refrigerated morgue separate from the food storage, because this would be quite a large health and safety violation. And trust me, no one working in the F&B department wants to go and have to rummage around in the fridge with a corpse to try and get more ice cream. That's not happening. The real story of what happens when someone dies on a cruise ship is a lot more interesting than that myth. And a lot of it is actually hiding in plain sight. So here's what most people don't really know. Cruise ships see death on a regular basis. Around 200 people die on a cruise ship every single year. That sounds like a lot, but considering 30 million people took a cruise in 2019 alone, that works out to about 1 death per 150,000 people that cruise, which is like 3 or 4 deaths a week across a global fleet. Now, every major cruise line, of course, has a protocol for this, and it's designed to be detailed, practiced, and most of all, invisible. Because while you're sunbathing by the pool, you don't want someone in a body bag being carried past. Now, having spent 10 years working at sea, I have heard Code Alpha more times than I would like to share. And I got to see what happens in the crew areas when this announcement is actually called.
Alpha, Alpha, Alpha. Deck 6, Zone 8, Boardwalk. Alpha, Alpha, Alpha. Deck 6, Zone 8, Boardwalk.
She just carried on getting ready. That was her reaction, and that was my reaction too, because I very quickly learnt that being a massage therapist or working in the shops, it wasn't my job to react to that Code Alpha. It was my job to carry on as though nothing had happened. So you learn that unless it is your code to respond to, you just keep it moving. Now, I do want to say that most of the time when you hear Code Alpha, it's a medical emergency and it's not a death. And most passengers never experience anything more dramatic than a delayed dinner seating. But the way cruise ships handle death, I think tells you something about how these institutions really work. So let me show you what people are getting right, what people are getting wrong, and what people are just not saying.
What do the different codes mean? Sometimes over the tannoy we have loads of different codes that get announced that basically have names different to the names of what the thing actually means, because we're trying not to like panic or do anything to the guests. However, it kind of just causes a lot of gossip and confusion. So there are a few different codes. We've got Code Alpha, Code Victoria, Code X-Ray, assessment team. There's loads of different ones depending on what cruise line you're on. They also might be different. You work on a ship and you hear Code Alpha, that is usually for the medical crew. So for example, me, part of the entertainment team, I would not answer, and it could be something as little as someone's fallen over and hurt their leg, but it also could be something as big as death.
So just as she said, Code Alpha does not necessarily mean death. A lot of the time it's a medical emergency. Now, Code Alpha is pretty standardized across most fleets. I can't say all, but notice she mentioned a couple of other codes as well. Code Victoria, Code X-Ray. So it's worth mentioning that basically every cruise line not cruise ship, but every cruise line, cruise company, Royal Caribbean, Carnival, MSC, Norwegian, just to name some of the big ones, have different codes that mean different things. So here is what I mean, you know, the codes are real, but they're not universal. And the one that actually matters, the one that means confirmed death, is not code alpha. When a passenger dies on a cruise ship, here's what actually happens. The medical team respond to whatever emergency was called first. The doctor will then confirm the death. The captain of the ship will be informed immediately, and then security will be sent to secure the cabin. Then a very specific and quiet operation begins. The body is moved to the ship's morgue. And because, people die on cruise ships, every single cruise ship has to have a morgue. So located on a lower deck away from passenger areas, you will find the refrigerated morgue that will hold 3 to 6, sometimes even up to 10 bodies. Because of course this will depend on the size of the ship. The family or travelling companions are of course going to be notified that the person they're travelling with has passed away, if they don't already know. And a member of the guest care team, which is a specifically trained role that exists on every major cruise ship, is assigned immediately and stays with that person or those people to help them through the rest of the cruise and be there for them and watch over them. The captain then has to file a report to the relevant authorities, and if the ship is heading to a US port, the death has to be reported to the CDC immediately. And that's every death, including deaths of like natural causes. Now, if there's any suspicion of criminal activity, then the FBI have to be notified, and even the Coast Guard. And all this is going on. Meanwhile, on the rest of the ship, nothing changes. The trivia night continues, the pool deck stays open, because 3,000 other passengers are on their holiday. They want to make sure that they manage the situation so the impact on the broader voyage is minimal. And that sounds cold, and in a way it is, but I want to explain why. The codes themselves are actually really interesting. Alpha, 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 medical emergency. This is Royal Caribbean and Norwegian. On Carnival, it's called Alpha Team. And on Celebrity, it's Star Code. Bravo, Bravo, Bravo. Fire on board. Used across most lines. So the ship slows down, the fire teams deploy, crew take positions, and this is the code that actually changes the dynamic of the ship the most. Understandably, if there's a fire on board, it's going to change things. And then I want you to appreciate like the full range here. Purell, 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 followed by a deck number on Celebrity means there's vomit cleanup required. So the same system that handles death at sea also handles vomit cleanup. So that's what I mean when I say that these codes are operational communications rather than like deep dark secrets. Now, the one most people do not know about is Operation Bright Star. Now, this one is specifically for severe medical emergencies, cardiac arrest, stroke, and it can only be called by a member of the medical team or a senior officer with advanced training, but usually the medical team. Now, the sad fact about this is when Operation Bright Star is called, the ventilation officer is also alerted, and their job is to start the cooling power in the morgue. They're not going to have it turned on if no one's in it, but if they think someone might be going in soon, they're going to cool it down. That is how prepared these ships are. And then there is Operation Rising Star. Now, this is not someone coming back from the dead and resurrecting, although the name kind of suggests that. This is the code that confirms death has actually occurred. Now, this announcement is not made ship-wide. This is an announcement between specific people who need to know about this. The captain, the medical team, the guest care team. Now, the Cruise Vessel Security and Safety Act, passed in the United States in 2010, requires that cruise lines report all crimes and suspicious deaths to the FBI. Now, this law was passed after years of advocacy from families of passengers who had died or gone missing while they were on board a cruise ship and who felt the industry had not been transparent. So, thankfully, there is now a legal framework, but it only applies when the cruise ship visits US ports. International waters operate under maritime law, specifically the Death on the High Seas Act, a US federal law from 1920, which applies to deaths that happen more than 3 nautical miles from the shore. Under this law, Families can only claim financial losses, not pain and suffering, not emotional damage. A passenger who dies on a cruise ship in international waters has significantly fewer legal protections than a passenger who dies on an aeroplane. And that is a bigger story for another video, but it's worth knowing because what about the family after? When the passenger dies, their body is held in the ship morgue until the cruise ship reaches the next major port. Getting the body home, repatriation, costs anywhere between $5,000 to $15,000. And if you don't have travel insurance that includes this falls entirely on the family that want to get their loved one home.
If you or your family member die on a cruise ship, they're not gonna let you off. Like, you or your family member has to spend the rest of this cruise mourning this loss. Like, you can't exit, you can't leave the situation. What they're gonna do is they're gonna throw the body into the morgue. Yeah, cruises have morgues just like they have jail cells, but that's like a whole other conversation.
She's partially right, and I want to be fair to her. Like, obviously, if your family member or friend dies in the middle of the ocean, no, they're not just going to let you get off the ship. The ship is not going to divert its entire itinerary to return to port after one death, unless it's a suspicious death or someone is having a heart attack and they need further medical attention, in which case, of course, the ship is going to try and rush to a port to try and get that person the help that they need. But if this person is already deceased, as we said earlier, these systems are meant to be invisible, which means no one else who is on their cruise knows what's going on. So the cruise is going to continue as planned. But the guest care team is going to make sure that the family or friends of the deceased are taken care of. They're going to help them with arrangements and anything that they can help them with. No, you're not going to be able to go home early. And this is one of the things that almost no one talks about before they book a cruise. But the broader picture is that these ships are fully designed for this to happen. Obviously, they don't want it to happen, but they are prepared for when and if it does. Now, here is the question that I get asked most when this topic comes up. Why do cruise lines not just tell the passengers when someone has died? And the honest answer is that they've calculated that that causes more problems than it actually solves. Think about it from an operator perspective. 3,000 people on board, some are celebrating something meaningful with their loved ones, and you have a death, which of course is a tragedy. But in most cases, it's a natural death with an elderly person, which is a statistical inevitability when you sell a product to a lot of retirees. It's only in recent years that cruising has been for younger people. Like, if you announce it, you trigger grief, you trigger anxiety in people that didn't even know the person that died. You invite questions that the crew members cannot fully answer because most of the crew members don't even get told the details because they don't need to know. And this would change the mood of the entire voyage because it is sad when someone dies, even if you didn't know them. So the decision to manage this quietly isn't about hiding any wrongdoing. In most cases, it's a business calculation on managing the emotional experience of the other passengers. And this is not unique to cruise ships. Hospitals do this, airlines do this, hotels do this, but like everything on cruise ships, it's just more pronounced. I think because when you're on a ship, there's nowhere else to go. Like, you're on the ship in the middle of the ocean and whatever's going on that ship, you can't get away from it. And as I said at the beginning of this video, as someone who has worked at sea for 10 years and has heard many alpha codes and like medical emergencies and who has sadly, you know, had many people die while they were working on board, whether that be crew members or passengers, I can tell you firsthand that it really does affect the energy on board. And I say this because it illustrates something true about what it means to work in a contained, total service environment. So the real story here is not the code system. The real story is what institutions do when they have to manage grief inside an experience that was sold as joy. And cruise ships have become very, very good at that. Frighteningly good at it. In some ways. And they're not sinister, like they're an engineering solution to an inevitable human problem. So if you're on a cruise ship and you do hear code alpha, know that the crew are on it. And your job is just to stay out of the way and let them get to work. They're trained for this and you're not. And if you're thinking about working on a cruise ship yourself, understanding what happens behind the scenes, all of it, not just the beautiful parts, is part of knowing what you're actually signing up for. Because after helping hundreds of people land a job on board a cruise ship, I have seen that the people who really do thrive on board are the people who knew exactly what they were signing up for before they got on board their first cruise ship. So I have built Sail for Success, which is an academy which will help teach you everything about working on board a cruise ship so that when you get your first job on board, you're good. You know exactly what's coming your way. So with that being said, if you do want to work on board, please go over to my website, cruisingascrew.com, and watch the free masterclass that I have created that is going to tell you everything you need to know about getting a job on board a cruise ship. It's totally free. You've got nothing to lose. You might need a pen and a notebook when you watch it to make some notes, because I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about working on board. But yeah, go over, check that out. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe if you haven't already. But thank you so much for being here, guys. I hope you have a fantastic rest of the week. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.